All right, so what is today? February 28th. This is Saturday. We had some news yesterday on Netflix, so there's something worth talking about here. I also have a small cold, so I don't know what the audio quality is going to be on my voice, but I'll do I'll do what I can. So on Netflix, we had been buying since back in November. I went and looked back at all of my buys, and I have an average of about $87. So I have an average somewhere in here in like this area. Let me just put a price in there somewhere. So call it 87. Right there. So I have an average right here. Let me see if I can thicken that up. Right. So I have an average here where I was buying, week to week, all through here and then all through here, and I had some like $83 buys. Well, what did it say here? Oh, like $90.80 or $90.08. Where is it? 82.90, 83.14, 76. So all the way through here, just every Friday I just continued to buy for the last however many months. What is that? November, so like December, January, February, 12 weeks of buying all the way through here. It kind of started at the beginning. Oh, let me get rid of this here. So it started in this area after its earnings back here on October 21st. And then we had all of the other earnings the next week and the week after that, where it was 2 weeks ahead of time that we kind of started buying in November. And so we had several weeks. So my average is right here at $87. And then some change, but who cares about the change? So I am now green on Netflix, and we had this massive green candle reversal on the news that they're not going to try to acquire Warner Brothers. So it dropped off of earnings, and then the Warner Brothers news came out that they wanted to try and acquire Warner Brothers for $80 billion, I think it was, and then the bidding went up to like $117 billion, and it just kept driving it down. I don't care about the news or if they wanted to acquire Warner Brothers, and it's not the full story because it was already getting beat up prior to its discussions on trying to acquire Warner Brothers. So it was just the recency of the news that was in the public sentiment and emotional stress that was driving it down, but it doesn't really have anything to do with its fundamentals. And so now there's a bunch of news reports coming out saying its fundamentals are great. It's beat up like 40-50% from its highs. All of the good news is coming out now, which is why I don't really trade on the news, because just a week ago it was all doom and gloom, and now suddenly everything is amazing with this company, where nothing changed this week to last week. But we have this big green candle, so I would say now Netflix buying time is finished. It's now come up, and it's probably going to start climbing and returning back to where it should be, up here in the 135 and then the 150 ranges. So we can't really buy Netflix anymore because it's already started to climb. That if your average is good and you have a significant amount of shares that you're happy with, then there's no reason to buy anymore because we have other options on things that we can buy. So, buying time's done on Netflix. This is my average here at about $87, and now it's just time for it to climb. So this should all be green, and this should all be climbing and going, and the news with Warner Brothers is over. Paramount's going to acquire Warner Brothers. What is that? It's like P-Sky, I think. Yeah. So this is Paramount, and I don't have any real opinions on Paramount, but I think that their market cap, value is like $12 billion or something, and they're going to spend $117 billion on Warner Brothers, which means that they're buying a company that's 10 times bigger than they themselves are, which is kind of insane to me. And so I don't know if anybody was looking at Paramount or interested in Paramount, but I wouldn't touch this. I wouldn't do anything with it. They're not profitable. They lose money. They've it's not great. It's not great. And then they just took on an amount of debt that is 10 times what their entire company is worth. That it's kind of crazy to me that they are even in the bidding in the first place, or even welcomed to the table to have a discussion at all. But that's kind of beside the point. So just nothing for Paramount, but Netflix is out of the bid. They stepped away from it, and now they've taken a massive green candle. So buying time for Netflix is finished. And now we just take our profit and let it run up to, this region up here, where then we can talk about trying to sell options on, a later date. Once we get up here to something, then we can start looking at the options and figuring out what to do week to week. So I'm assuming everybody at this point is profitable on Netflix. They've done their dollar cost averaging every Friday, and now we're just in for the pure green profit run here. So that should look good for us, and that's basically everything to do with Netflix. We had previously looked at Amazon, and Amazon looks good. It's starting to stack up here on the bottom and get some stability. So anywhere in this region, what is that? Like $210 down to $197. If our average ends up in here, it's going to be really, really good. That if we get our buy from this Friday and this Friday and that Friday and that Friday, that's already 4 Fridays. And if our average ends up down here, it's going to be amazing when it comes back up. So it's stacking up. It's getting a nice like floor put in here, and it's getting some stability. So that's good. It really shouldn't have something like Netflix where it stacked a little bit sideways and then just got slaughtered on some bad news. So it really shouldn't look the same. It should look similar to this back in April of last year, where we get some sideways move before it finds its groove and it starts to climb back up off of the next earnings date. So we'll be looking for the next earnings date, February or April 30th, to get it to come out of its rut here. So we'll just keep buying Amazon on Fridays. We had Facebook, and Facebook's kind of tickling a region that I don't want to buy it anymore, and I think it was 700. But if it's been moving and sliding sideways here, that if it's over 675, I don't really want to buy it anymore because my average is already way down here. So if I have a really good average on Facebook, and I can just buy it for, say, 650 or 640, there's no big rush to try and jump into it if it's going to maintain these sideways prices under 675. So no big rush. And if you buy it on Fridays, that's good. If you don't, we've already got a bunch of it, and so you can buy Amazon or you can buy Microsoft instead, which is what I'm going to start switching over to, is not buying as much Facebook, because I already have a lot of it, and I have a lot of Netflix from all these previous 12 weeks that I don't really have to buy as much Facebook on Fridays, because I already have a pretty decent average and a pretty decent accumulation of shares from all of these weeks. So if you're still looking at it, and anything under 675, it's it's going to keep offering these prices of like 650, 660, 630 until it finally breaks out and starts climbing upwards, and then we'll be looking at not buying it anymore. I thought it was going to happen here on the earnings, but it didn't. And on this break here, I thought it was going to be finished and finally take that move upwards. So mostly if you could just hold below 675, that'll be a good price. If you want to continue buying Facebook. And we've got Microsoft just getting beat up all the way down here. So this is going to be the big one to kind of focus on, just because it's extended so far, like Netflix was, where if it gets way down into here, it's over the last 3 years you never really got this kind of opportunity this many standard deviations away from its historical average, and that's what Microsoft is looking like right now. So, this is a really good buy on Microsoft, and anything under 415, if you acquire these on Friday and end up with an average price that's under 415, you'll be extremely happy to have an average price like that. So Microsoft is a big buy right now with all of these big ass red candles coming all the way down to 2 standard deviations away. So Microsoft looks really good. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, that was all 4: Netflix, Microsoft, Facebook, and Amazon. So for me, I'm going to start focusing more on Amazon and Microsoft with a higher focus on Microsoft, just because of its price compared to where it traditionally runs at. I just wanted to cover this quickly and take a quick Friday look at it, but I don't really have much to talk on other than the news for Netflix, and we did have Nvidia earnings, and so if say Nvidia breaks down below 175, we could start looking at it for a buying opportunity. If I was looking for like 160 months ago, looking for that 160 move, and if it follows this 200-day breaking outside of the Bollinger Bands here, then we've kind of been looking at it for the same move. That if these come together, and then once this finally comes out, we might finally get that 160, 150 downwards move on Nvidia. And that I'm really going to start buying Nvidia once that happens. So I'll be watching this for a break below 175, and if it does do that and gets us below like this half a standard deviation away line right here, which is 170.15 ish, then I'll really start considering buying Nvidia, and that 170 could turn into 160 and could turn into like 150, which I would be really happy to get Nvidia at 150. So I'll just keep an eye on that and start hoping that happens. If this one standard deviation line comes all the way out, then we might see it somewhere in like April. I've been waiting all the way since December or so, but if it happens in April, it's still fine to me that it'll offer some kind of buying chance at a good price. I'm just patiently waiting for it to happen. As far as its fundamentals are concerned, it's basically doubled as a company year over year. The earnings were $1.62. Expected earnings were like $1.45. Back here, I believe, like, we can't really see it, but I think it was 75 cents, if I remember correctly. I wonder if I can scroll over there. No. I think it was 75 cents for January or February of last year. So, even if we look at this one at $1.09, now it's $1.62. That's like a 50% gain, but it was 75, now it's $1.09. What is that? $2, $4. I'm not sure why these are so large, and then it got a... Oh, there's a stock split in here, that's why. So 10-to-1 stock split. So this would have been 61 cents, 51 cents, 40 cents, 27 cents, 10 cents, and then that would have been like 7 cents. So if we consider 7 cents or 10 cents, 27 cents, and today we're at $1.62 on earnings, that's astronomical growth. So if I could get this at $1.60, or if I could get this at $160 or $150, I'd be very happy with that. Just because the Nvidia growth has been extraordinary year over year, and it's set up at least 3 years of consistency that I can look at a chart and see that it's continuing to grow year over year and quarter over quarter. I would be very happy to get into Nvidia, and that opportunity might be coming very soon, where this dip looks good on a chart, but that was a year ago, where it only had 1 year's worth of history, and we didn't know if its growth was sustainable and believable. But now we have 3 years to base it off of, that if we get another one full standard deviation away from its historical average in the year 2026, that looks really good to me. So I'll be watching for that and be really excited to buy Nvidia if we can see a 160 or a 150 price on it. Its revenue had doubled from a year ago. Its earnings doubled from a year ago. Quarter over quarter, it continues to grow about 30%. I mean, it looks extraordinary. Everything about it looks good. So I would really like to get involved with this. And if it gives me a price that I could be happy with, then I'm going to jump all over it. So for now, I'm waiting. And for now, I'm just doing Microsoft and Amazon. While having Facebook, I'm just holding it, waiting for the move up. And Netflix, I'm holding, waiting for the move up. So the two that I'm buying, Microsoft and Amazon. And possibly when these are finished buying, NVIDIA might be on deck. And as soon as it becomes available, I'll just start buying it. So yeah, that's kind of it.